Manbeast, Myth or Monster is a made-for-TV documentary that aired in the late 70s. It follows hunter-turned-researcher Peter Byrne as he tries to find the Manbeast. I'm going to spoil this one right here. He doesn't find anything, but it is a fun time nonetheless. It opens up trying to convince us that these creatures are a possibility, which I can appreciate. Peter says that hundreds of thousands of years ago the forests were green and provided everything you needed to live off the land. The man-beast survived on his wits alone, and at the time, he wasn't the only predator in the woods. Is it possible that they're still alive today? Well, Peter sure thinks so. He and his wife travel all over getting eyewitness stories and collecting all the evidence they can, which is where the movie really shines, in the stories, although it does embellish quite a bit. First we hear of a missing skier that just disappeared. They follow his tracks to some trees, then they were just gone. Had to be Bigfoot. Next, onto some loggers. Peter talks about how man is reducing the Bigfoot's habitat and with deforestation forcing them to move. This standard stuff you hear in every Sasquatch documentary. But here we have a witness. But it's a 7-year-old girl. Her dad drives truck for a living and he was hauling lumber down the mountains. He stopped to fix some chains and that's when she saw it. The man-beast. Of course, it's gone before her dad could see it too. Now we go into a little bit about Peter's history and why he's so interested in Bigfoot. He used to be a big game hunter by trade, even starting a business where rich people would hunt down these exotic animals to hang as trophies on their walls. The money was good and the job was exciting, but the longer he lived in nature, the more he realized that he needed to be protecting these creatures, not hunting them. So he threw in the towel and moved on to wildlife preservation. However, the hunt was still in him, and although he didn't want to shoot Bigfoot, he still wanted to capture it on film. To him, that would be the ultimate hunter's prize. So Peter goes all over the world to get the proof he needs, starting in the Himalayan mountains, looking for Yeti. He believes that the creature started in China, but was forced to the mountains by man. While he's there, he gets stories from the locals, even speaking to a holy lama, but still, no hard evidence. They really focus on Russia, and several stories come up. One of these tales is of a man who was able to capture a female Yeti. Eventually, she grew tame, and although she wouldn't live in the house, she would at least take shelter in the barn, only listening to her master, who she saw as her father. Eventually, she even had children. I don't want to know how that happened, but she accidentally killed them by giving them baths in icy water. So, the next time she got pregnant, someone took the baby, where it is still alive today. Or, at least in 1978. Okay, come on. I'm a pretty gullible guy, but even I'm not buying this one. Something like that would have definitely been newsworthy, but to Peter, this is a stone-cold fact. Now, I never heard of that Russian breeding Bigfoot, but I have heard of this one. Peter talks to Alan Berry, who has some pretty interesting recordings. He heard reports that something was causing a ruckus at a campsite, so he went there with a tape recorder to see what it was. Late in the night, he captured this evidence. It's pretty chilling, but again, I'm not buying it. It's just too clear. Bigfoot would had to have been right in the mic to pick that up. I don't know. Apparently they sent the audio away to be analyzed and they determined that it was no man and from no known animal. But still, I don't know about this one. Finally, Peter gets a lead on a farmer who has the body of the man-beast frozen. He goes to his house, but he won't let the researcher in. If he wants to see it, he's going to have to go to the local carnival and pay to see it just like everyone else. Pretty suspicious. On top of that, the farmer kept changing his story on how he got the body. Even so, Peter believes this is the real deal.
Even if there is only one left, we must protect this creature.
In the end, they explain how there really is enough of a habitat for these creatures to live in unnoticed, and there's enough eyewitness reports to convince Peter that there is something out there, if you look deep enough. I tend to agree, but sheesh, these stories aren't going to convince anyone. All of the reports either only have one witness, or they're so unbelievable, it's comedic. That's not to say some of the eyewitnesses that Peter interviews aren't credible. It's just that nothing really happens. Bigfoot walked out of the woods, then walked right back in. I left them out because they're just kind of boring. I do have to mention that Manbeast was directed by Nicholas Webster, who did a couple episodes of In Search Of, including the Bigfoot episode. And, for better or for worse, he directed Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. So, there's that. Is Manbeast a myth or a monster? Well, you decide. But I don't think this documentary will convince you. I give it 2.5 pregnant Yetis out of 4.
A great deal of mystery surrounds the sideshow attraction I had been following. An investigator from the Smithsonian requested to see it and was refused. Without examining it, he concluded that it was a fake, probably nothing more than latex rubber and hair. I believed that the creature could be a young Bigfoot. I believed that it was real.